Greetings! In today's video, I am showcasing a build that I'm still in the process of making because I find it very happy. I don't know. I really like this build. So this is the old version. I have put this in a video before. This is the thing I'm trying to improve. The features of this, other than it can walk underwater, which is one of the parts that's fun, I guess. So it strides, it has really long steps, which makes it quite quick, right? And then of course ignore the thrusters. The way that the body tilts left and right when it's walking is really cool to me. It just, it does a whole seesaw thing, and in order to get more leg purchase. And yeah, I just wanted to see if I could make an improved version of this that had fewer issues with its walking cycle. Because this was, I believe, the very first walker that I ever made using any sort of complex logic. This was made a long time ago. So yeah, I essentially went onto this, which is my logic plate. Now I have to give full credit to Epic Doodle for this entire glowing piece. This is the logic that allows the legs to remain at the position that I last left them in. Essentially, the purple logic blocks will hold their position unless I'm pressing W or S, and then they will go forward like the ticking of the clock, but they will hold their position once I've stopped pressing the button instead of resetting to the first step. And the cool part of that is that Epic Doodle made this capable of going backwards as well. So it's a clock that remembers the positions of its arms when you stop making it tick, and it's a clock that can go backwards. It's quite cool, to be completely honest, and it's above my expertise in logic and math and things. But yeah, I basically coded in through with the more boringly colored blocks, the logic blocks. I coded in each leg's animation for going forward, and then I made some adjustments so that going backward would work fine. I was originally going to have two completely separate animations for going forward and backward, but fortunately I didn't need to, because the backward animation, as you will see, works perfectly fine. I basically split my servos into two groups. All right, so basically each color of light is correspondent to a color of group of logic gates on the board, and that's how we do it. Now, every group has 3 logic gates on the left side and 2 logic gates on the right side. The 3 logic gates on the left side control the servo that's closest to the body, whereas the 2 logic gates on the right side control the servos that are both the servos that are further away from the body. Which means that the servos that are further away from the body are basically getting the same input, except it's mirrored because one of them has a positive speed and the other one has a negative speed. So in this example, the servo that's in the center has a negative speed, and the servo that's out on the outside has a positive speed, which means that they get the same amount of degrees turning. Well, technically not really, because this one has more angle than this one, but they get approximately the same amount of degrees to turn, but in the opposite directions, which allows the leg to contract and expand. And by contract and expand, I mean when the leg is contracted, the tip of the foot is closer to the body, and when the leg is expanded, the tip of the foot is further away from the body. If that makes any sense. Then how the rest of it works is I have 25 degrees and then 77 degrees and then 55 degrees, which is the 3 positions for the servo that's closest to the body, which means that it essentially has 3 stages. It's trying to give room for the leg to come up and around so that it's not touching the ground when it's coming forward. And then when it's ready to touch the ground, it pushes it all the way down. And then the other 2 logic gates are working on expanding and contracting the leg, basically. It's a walking animation that looks really complicated, but if you just think of the 2 rotating servos further away from the body as basically a piston that puts the foot further away or closer, and then when the piston is expanded, you want the leg to be pushing the body forward, and when the piston is looking to contract, then you want the leg to be coming to the forward position so that it can push again. That's basically the way that I conceptualize it, that makes it really easy. And the same goes for the rest of the legs. And so we move on to the tuning stages, where I've added in some gyro stabilization. I've added in some weight blocks. As you can see, none of the thrusters are active right now because I put them on a separate key so that I can have a walking animation that's normal and then a walking animation that's thruster powered. Obviously, this creation is a lot smaller than the previous iteration, which means that it's gonna walk a little bit slower because it doesn't have that much of a stride. However, it's the result that I want. Probably could use with a little bit more tilt, but I don't want it to not be able to walk, so I'm still kind of experimenting with that. A couple things I added. So for turning, I do have a gyro somewhere. I don't remember where it is. But for turning, basically it rotates the hinges at the base of the legs to make the entire leg structure rotate correctly so that it's turning properly. And then I have this, which is E and Q, is for basically crab walking. I can strafe in my walker because that's a very necessary thing. Yeah, I can strafe in the walker. What's another thing? I have a button that can toggle my thrust on, and it significantly increases my speed. The cool thing is I also have reverse, which is very novel for my walkers. I basically never have reverse because a lot of walking animations, when you reverse them, don't work. That's just a thing because you try walking backwards the way you walk forwards, but reversed. Like, just get up off your chair and try doing that right now. It's really hard. It doesn't work very well. Therefore, a lot of the times you either have to make a completely different walking animation for your reverse, or you have to just deal with not having it. And I think most of what this is I got pretty lucky with how I coded it and how all of the servos are positioned, that it kind of just works. Then I have a parking brake. This is my parking brake. It just folds all the legs up properly, and yeah, you can't use W or S. You can't go forward or backward. It's just parked. And there you go. That's the walker. I don't know what to put on top of it. Suggestions have been giant gun. I don't know if anybody else has other suggestions that are not giant gun. Because I don't want to put a giant gun on that thing. It's so wobbly already. Yeah, if you have thoughts on what I should put on top of that thing, I'll take them. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the future.